Car Talk is presented by Gates Automotive, Northern Indiana's premier local-owned auto dealer, specializing in Toyota, Chevy, and pre-owned vehicle sales and service. Gates Automotive has locations in South Bend, Mishawaka, Granger, and Elkhart. For more information, visit gatesautomotive.com.
Hey everyone, JC here. Thanks for tuning in for this episode of Car Talk presented by Gates Automotive, where we talk about everything car related from buying, selling, to financing and servicing. Today's guest has an extensive product knowledge of the Toyota lineup. He's also a huge asset to Gates because of his infectious laugh and big personality. Recently, he went from sales consultant and got a big promotion to business manager. And I'd like to introduce you to Mr. Marcus Turner.
What's up, JC?
What's up, man? Thanks for joining in today.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks for coming in on your day off to be a part of this.
Absolutely. Anytime I can do this conversation with you is always great.
I look forward to it also. We've done it 2 or 3 times now.
Yeah.
And it's just fun to do together. I know this is the first part of this series you've been a part of, but man, it's just cool and exciting to create this together.
Exactly. It's we did 3, just me being a salesman, but now we're doing 1 me as a business manager.
That's right.
Pretty cool. So the first of the new beginning. That's
right. And many more to come.
Right. Exactly.
Well, Marcus, the first part of this is what we call a 30-second rundown.
Right.
I will throw at as many questions at you as possible in 30 seconds. We'll see how many we can get through.
Let's go.
Cool. Let's start the clock. And 3, 2, 1. What's your full name?
Marcus Turner.
Where were you born?
Chicago, Illinois.
Where did you grow up?
South side of Chicago in the Inglewood area.
Where'd you go to high school?
I went to Hubbard High School on the southwest side of Chicago.
What was your favorite class in high school?
Ooh, yeesh. Math. I was really big on math.
What did you do right after high school?
I went to University of Virginia.
What was your favorite class there? Oh boy. We'll stop that. We've got a few more questions to get through, so we'll get through them pretty quick. So we'll skip that one about school.
Okay.
Are you married?
Yes.
When did you get married?
I got married a little over a year ago. September 14th. I don't want to be wrong, but yeah, I think
you got that one right?
Yeah, I think.
Aaliyah?
My wife would let me know if I did or did not. I get my days confused.
Yeah. Shout out to Aaliyah.
I know. Shout out to her for making things happen.
How many kids do you have?
We just had our first baby girl November 18th. I got that one right. I got that one right for sure.
November 18th, so that means she's 2 months old now.
Yeah. Yes.
How cool.
Yeah, growing quickly. I never knew how fast kids grow until you have your own, and she's like growing very quickly.
Isn't that nuts?
Very nuts. Very.
My daughter's over 2 now, and I look back to when she was first born and how tiny she was and how you would hold her like that. And I think like, oh my word, it's crazy.
Yes. You like, so like, I don't want to drop you, but then once they get to age, you're like, God, you're this big. Like,
I know. I just remember the first week that, so I had the week off after she was born.
Right.
And sitting at home, I would literally just hold her in my hand. She was that small. Mm-hmm. And I kid you not, I would just sit there for hours looking at her thinking, this is amazing.
Yes.
I hope you feel the same thing.
Oh, the first week after having her, I took probably the weekend off and then a week. The first Saturday we had off, it was a big game for Clemson, me being a Clemson fan. So we're sitting there watching it, and she's watching TV the whole entire time. Like,
no kidding.
And I'm just sitting there holding her. I'm just like, wow, this moment doesn't get any better. Like, this is the greatest feeling you can ever feel in life.
How cool.
It's just an awesome feeling to know that I got this little one to take after. So
how cool.
Very.
It's just such a overwhelming and empowering feeling. And before, I don't know how you feel, but before having kids, I felt like I knew what my purpose was. And then you have a kid
and then
you hold that baby.
You like your purpose, your complete thought and process of your purpose has completely changed. It's like, everything you thought before having a kid, it changes as soon as you have a kid. And you're like, why was I thinking that when I didn't have a kid? Okay.
Yeah.
So,
and not that having a kid is for everyone, but man, I just feel like that's what my purpose is my kids and that generation.
Right. True. And it also gives you a different perspective of people that want to have kids, that can't have kids.
That's right.
You're just like, man, you should appreciate this moment. It's a beautiful feeling. It's a blessing to be able to have a kid and just have someone to love and hold. So it's crazy.
It is. Crazy. Exactly. So Marcus, how long have you been at Gates now?
So I've been at Gates for 4 years now. 4 years.
Long time, short time? What do you think?
It feels like a long time, but I think as I grow, it's just like the thought process of like how I started into where I'm at now is like, wow, I have really grown over the 4 years. So to me, it's a long time. 4 years is a long time. So,
and I'm sure a lot has changed over the last 4 years, not only in the community here at Gates, but personally.
Yeah, huge growing my family, just growing mentally, just doing things a little bit different than when I first got in the car business 7 years ago, actually. So,
wow.
Just your whole thought process of how you do things in the beginning have changed over time to how you do things now. Because there's some things you did at the beginning, you're like, what? What were you thinking? Why would you do it that way? And it's like now you just know. So I wouldn't say you know so much information because you always can learn.
Yeah.
To me, you just have to continue to grow and continue to adapt to the situation.
True. But
it's like, why did you do that at the beginning? Like, what were you thinking? But at that time, it was like, oh, this is cool. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's just a continue to grow, continue to strive mentality. So
exactly. And even with Gates, they do a good job at setting that pace so that they know that you need to be the best version of yourself.
Exactly.
And they want us to do the same thing in our own lives.
Yeah.
Which is something that you've done very well in yours.
Yeah. I think Gates do a very good job of preparing you for not only the car business, but your life changing outside of the car business, your personal life. They're big on pretty much wanting you to take care of your family. Because I know when I had my child, the first people I text was the Gates people, Clint, Joe, Matt,
probably Jeff also. Yeah.
Jeff, just texting them, just sending them pictures, and they was just like, that's the best feeling ever. Enjoy it, take time off, make sure your family is good. Just come back when you're ready, when your family is ready. It wasn't like, hey, you had the child good, take 2 days off, come back. It was more of, hey, take care of your family, make sure they're straight, make sure everything is good. When you come back, obviously you'll be back with open arms and we'll get rolling.
Exactly.
So,
and they know that's such a huge priority that should be in your life.
Right.
I mean, this doesn't happen often, but my daughter had what was it? She had a UTI.
Okay.
We didn't know it at the time.
Right.
But for her not being able to communicate that, all she knows is that she was crying and she was upset. And we had to go pick her up from daycare. And for the next day, I had her home. And just telling my boss, which would be Clint, about that, he would just always has said, look, your kids are your number one priority. Take care of them, handle that. Let me know when everything's good.
Right.
And that's just implied.
Right.
And you see that everywhere.
And it's just like some places is like, oh, you had a kid, great, come back.
Yeah. When you coming back?
Right. That's the first question. But their first thing is, was it a successful birth?
Yeah.
Great. Is the baby healthy? How's the wife? Okay, great. Take a few days off. Take how many days you want off. Make sure everybody is healthy. Just make sure your family is good before you come back into the office, because we want you to come back with them having happy and healthy, and you having a clear mind is the best thing to do coming into this business.
Exactly. And they want you back at 100%.
Right. They don't want you to come back and you like 50% because you're thinking about, oh, is your baby healthy? Is the wife good? Because post-traumatic stress is huge. And people don't talk about that, but it's huge because she can be depressed about a lot of different things, and then the baby can seem healthy, but if it's crying all day, something may be wrong.
Exactly.
So they want you to make sure you take care of that and make sure everybody is good before returning. So
yeah,
it's really good to have a company that stands behind you and your family. So
Exactly. And they just do that at every turn possible. It's really cool to see that.
Always. Is every time I see them, I say, thank you for letting me take that extra time off to get my family right.
Yeah.
So it's good.
And they appreciate you taking care of it.
Yes. The first thing is like, every time I see them, they don't even ask about you. Oh, how's the family? Wait, I'm here right now.
Yeah.
How am I doing? No, it's how's the family? How's the kid? How's the wife? Everybody good? Are they good? And then they're like, oh, but how are you? Oh, I'm good. Yeah. Oh, great. As long as the family good. So it's always great to talk to them because it's definitely family first.
Yeah. And you know it because they're so authentic about it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's not how's your family? Yeah, I just want to hear.
What'd you say again?
Yeah,
right?
Like the text message me and Clint have is always about family.
Yeah.
About taking care of your family, about laughing and joking with your family, and being.
Shout out to Clint.
Shout out to Clint, and shout out to Jeff, because
shout out to Jeff.
When I first had the child, the first thing he said is, now that you're in finance, your time away from family is going to be a little more extended than when you was in sales. So when you get home, make sure you spend time with your family. Obviously, do whatever you want to do to calm yourself down, but make sure family is priority to spend time with.
That's right. Because
you're going to be away from them a little bit more than you was in sales.
Yeah, true.
So just make sure you just find time to just be with them, and whenever your off day is, make sure you find time to be with them, to relax and chill and just show them that you are there, even though you're away from them a lot. So shout out to Jeff.
Shout out to Jeff. Great advice, right?
Right. I don't know if I follow that very well.
The jury's still out on that one.
Right. The jury. I'll let Liv tell that story.
You're off for now, right? No.
Yeah. Right. Let's see how it goes when I get home.
Yeah, true.
If I don't show up to work Monday, we know what happened.
So you've been in the car business 8 years now? 7, 8 years?
So it will be 8 years. June 27th was my start date. I think. I'm not good with dates.
Yeah.
It's sometime in June is when I started. Actually, Liz, the reason I got into the car business. And it was going that way ever since.
Yeah. What brought you to Gates?
So what brought me to Gates is Aaliyah ended up going to University of Notre Dame to get a PhD, but she ended up transferring to University of Washington to finish off her PhD. But we came here to get closer to Chicago and for her to go to start a PhD program. And the first place I hit up was Gates because a guy named... I don't want to mess up. Lonnie Cornett, he lived here. Yeah. And he knew I was coming here, and he was like, Gates is the place that everyone knows in South Bend, Mishawaka area. And the rest is history.
How cool.
Right.
But it's probably because of the good reputation that they had.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, because all he talked about is like how many dealerships they have, how they've been in this community for... at that point in time, he was like, I don't even know how many years, but he was like, my great grandpa he was 40 or 50, and he was talking about Gates being around that long. And I'm like, sheesh.
Yeah.
Okay. If a company is being around that long, obviously they're doing something right. So
exactly. And you've had a chance to experience that since you've been here.
Yes. Because before I even came to Gates, me and Clint, we was texting for about 3-4 months, just getting to know each other.
No kidding.
Just knowing the company.
Yeah.
And he was just very persistent on me coming to just visit, not even just to be hired. He was like, just come and see how Gates operate, how we work. We would love to have you, but we want you to be comfortable coming to this company, knowing that how we operate and how we work. So it was, we got a little joke. He called me Young Buck and I call him Old Man. So I would text him, not even, we haven't met each other yet. And
you don't know what he looks like?
Don't know what he looked like. I just know he's an older gentleman. Yeah. So I'm texting him, hey, what's up, old man? And he was like, oh, what's going on, Young Buck? When you going to come here to work? I'm going to make sure I work you hard. Yeah. So, and I'm just like, oh, this is the type of people I want to work with. Someone that can have fun, laugh, and joke with. So
how cool.
It was good talking to Clint to bring me on board. So
yeah, what kind of transition was it going from the other dealership to Gates?
It was a little adjustment because they did things a little bit different, and it was a little bit different system. I think every car business, the process is always going to be the same. But Gates was a little bit more, I want to say, they system has been going for 93 years.
Yeah.
So their transition was very smooth. The other place, they were big on training. They was around for 10 years. So they was continued to growing, where Gates was already grown, but just continued to just elevate themselves based off the time that we in. So their system was already proven, having 5 dealerships, where this company only had 1 dealership. But now they're growing, and they're getting to the point where they're opening up more stuff. So now they're at where Gates was years ago. Yeah. So it was a difference to coming from someone that's starting to grow, starting out, and someone that's already solidified. And being the top of the top, where they're growing to be the top of the top. Gates is the top. So
exactly. And the other dealership, they've only were around for 10 years at that point.
Right.
They're still getting to know who they are.
Right. They're still learning. They're still learning the area, because it's other dealerships that was around them that's been there for years and years and years.
Exactly.
So they were still like, okay, how can we get ourselves to where they at? Yeah. So where coming to Gates is like, we are Gates. We are the top of the top. Everybody needs to get to where we at. Yeah. So it's just like, oh, okay. Okay, this is a little bit different operation system. So, but I think it was just adjusting to being back closer to Chicago, being where like.
True, because you came from Georgia?
No, I came from Ohio.
Oh, that's what it was, Ohio.
So I came from Ohio. So being back to Chicago, it was like, oh man, I'm this close to home. All right. I got an off day tomorrow, and I get off at 5 this time. Oh, let's go to Chicago.
Exactly.
And like the funniest story ever is when me and Olivia, we first moved here. We had a lot of coffee that day because we had to pack my stuff, drop it off here, go to Chicago, pack our stuff, drop it off back here, then go to Ohio, finish cleaning out my apartment, and then drive back here. So we wired up off coffee.
Oh my word.
So we get here, we start unloading. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning. She have to be at class at probably like, I want to say 12. So we so wired up off coffee, we stay up the whole night. So it's like 12, it's like 11 o'clock. So she got to go to class, shower, blah, blah, blah. Then we get back. So we finish unpacking. We still wired up off coffee. So we was like, I'm like, man, I got taste for some good pizza. So at this time, we don't know what good pizza is around here.
True.
So we drive to Chicago like at 7 o'clock at night to go get pizza, and then drive back because we still wired up off coffee.
Oh my word.
And then the funny part is we get home, we haven't ate the pizza yet. We just hit a crash and just fall asleep while the pizza is sitting on the stove. So that next morning we eating pizza for breakfast because we're just like, what happened? Did we really drive to Chicago to get
Not only
pizza?
did you drive to Chicago to get it, you didn't even eat it.
No, we did not eat it until the next day. And I'm just like, what was the point? Like it's by the time we get back, it's probably like 12:30. So I'm just like, we get back, we was like, oh, let's eat. Put the food down, we shower, get out, put on clothes, and then we just lay in the bed. Just like, I'm tired. And it goes right to sleep.
How crazy.
That's very crazy. We look back on that, was like, yeah, we was definitely young.
Yeah, remember those young days?
Yeah, we're not doing that no more. It's like, oh, we're going to take a trip to Chicago. Okay, great. We're going to go early in the morning, so when we get back, we can take a little nap.
Yeah, for real.
And then once we get back, we nap, and then wake up and do whatever we got to do.
Yeah, now you need like 3 naps to go to Chicago, right?
Oh, God. It's crazy. Like, you go there, you're wide awake on your way back. You're like, oh, yeah. Let's pull over. Let's take a little rest stop real quick. So, yeah. So,
and that's a long trip. It can be sometimes, depending on what time of day.
Oh yeah, because sometimes I drive fast, so
true. You're right. Depending on how fast you drive,
right? But when traffic hits, you can cancel Christmas is what I like to say. But especially on the way back, if it's road construction, that takes an hour and 45-minute drive to a 3-hour, 4-hour trip. Man. Anytime, like especially if you're going downtown, good luck.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. And you can get stuck in a gridlock pretty quick.
Yes. Don't let it be a White Sox game or a Bears
no
game.
Kidding.
Oh God, you might as well just say
you'd be stuck forever.
You might as well just go ahead and grab a hotel room and then leave out the next morning, which I have done. So yeah, it can be intriguing.
Yeah. So tell me about the change between being a sales consultant and now being a business manager. What have been the big changes? What have been the changes in responsibility? What does your day look like now?
The responsibilities, I'm gonna start with that first.
Yeah.
The responsibilities is pretty much still the same. To take care of the customer.
True.
To provide them with experience that no one can. The adjustment is the knowledge process. Now you dealing more with people finance side of things, of getting them a loan, processing a loan, protecting their investments. Just telling them how things is going to play out from the time you buy the car to when your loan ends, and what's the time frame of possibly trading that in.
Exactly.
So it's a little more in depth of explaining things so they can know that, hey, Gates is not just a place where they want to make money off you. It's a place that they want to take care of you, and you come back to Gates and choose everything that they have, such as the body shop, service department, parts department. Just being a place where you can come and just get free coffee or free popcorn at certain places, which I take advantage of when I'm over at Granger.
Yeah,
free
me
popcorn.
Too. Trust me.
But it's
twice
just,
this week.
The popcorn is perfect, right temperature and everything. But it's just showing that, hey, Gates is just more than a place where they want to take money and make money. It's a place where we want to create a family with customers, because the first thing we do is tell them what Gates stands for and what we do here and what all the advantages you have here to take advantage of that most places don't have.
Exactly. That's just what I love about Gates is we go every direction to put the customer first every single time.
Exactly.
And like when on a different episode, so Mike Clark, Greg Wolf, shout out to Mike, shout out to Greg.
Shout out to those two. Same thing in my department.
Yeah, true. One thing that they mentioned is we really slow that process down so that the customer doesn't feel rushed.
Right.
Like it's fast talking people who are just going through stuff and throwing paper at them to try and get to sign stuff real quick. But we slow that down so they know that they're making the right decision.
Right.
And it's just going that extra mile to put them first.
Yes, because you literally have to explain everything. Like you have to explain document by document, because these are very important documents that they sign in. So you just have to go a little more in depth of explaining, breaking down the numbers of why this and why that, why this, why that. And it's just the amount of knowledge you have to know.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like I always tell
And you probably never thought that before.
No,
right?
No, because I always tell sales, like when I was a salesperson, but I was like, oh, finance look like they don't do nothing.
Yeah.
They wear these nice suits and they look very professional, but they don't do anything.
Yeah.
And then I get in and I'm like, God, being a salesperson is so easy.
Yeah, can I go back? No,
right. No, I don't want to go back. But it's like you sell a car and you're done.
Yeah.
But in finance, once they sell a car, your job begins. But your job doesn't end until the person eventually pays off the car.
True.
Because you have
You're
if they have questions about their loan, they don't. 90% of the time, people don't call the bank that they with.
Yeah.
They call the people that gave them the loan.
Exactly.
So now you got to answer the questions about the bank that they with. And then sometimes you got to give them the number to the bank that they are.
Yeah.
Or right after a loan, a person will call you and say, hey, what bank I'm with?
Yeah.
And you got to say, hey, you should be receiving paperwork within 30 days from the bank. This is when your first payment is due. This is the bank you with. Even though they have a paper that shows all this.
Yeah, exactly.
But you just... I think people just want some clarification, just to know that, hey, even though I have all these answers, I just want to hear from the person that helped me process all this stuff.
Exactly. And I think that's a positive thing that they might reach out to you afterwards, because that means that they view you as someone that knows all the answers.
Yes.
And because you've built such a good relationship with them.
Right. And that's the same thing. And that's one thing that I took from sales to finance.
Yeah.
Is being friendly, being able to, like, hey, if you need anything, here's my cell phone number, just text me.
Yeah.
Just to know that if you have any questions where you think it's stupid or dumb, to me, no question is dumb. It's just an answer you need where it can be simple, or where it can be either hard to explain or simple to explain. You just have to be able to just answer questions and make sure they're taken care of.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and put them first and really make sure that all
Yes.
their questions are answered.
yes, because sometimes you don't answer everything that they may have questioned. Like you can say, "Oh, I don't know at this moment. I'll find it out," and then it end up slipping your head. But then they end up texting you like, "Oh, I did find out the answer. Here you go." Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, "Oh, okay, thank you." So sometimes it can be challenging, but it's part of life.
Yeah.
It's part of life.
There's going to be things that are hard.
Oh yeah. If it's not something, I want to live your lifestyle.
Yeah, true. I want to do it first. No.
Right. Exactly. Well, we got to rock, paper, scissors for
Yeah,
that.
that's right. Draw straws.
Right. Longest win.
Yeah.
Or shortest. I think it's shortest
Is it
win.
short?
I think it's shortest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
it's shortest win.
Who drew the short straw?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's what it is.
There
Yeah.
you
You're
go.
right. So what would be the hardest part of your job, Marcus?
So for me, the hardest part is trying to think. I don't think I have a hard part. It's just sometimes you have to break things down to the simplest form.
True.
And sometimes when you know it so well, sometimes it's hard to break it down to the simplest form, because your simplest form can be super hard for someone else.
That's true.
So you have to break it down even deeper than what you already know. And sometimes it can be like, oh, I can break it down to this point, but then you just have to educate yourself on how to break it down a little bit more.
Yeah.
So someone can get it. Cause sometimes the way you break it down can be like like somebody told me something so simple to them the other day. And I'm just like, huh? Like, explain further.
Yeah.
And they were just like, what do you mean explain further?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, no, go in a little bit more depth to break it down for me even more. Like when I say ACV, actual cash value, some people are like, oh, okay, what does that mean? And then I go to simplest form is like, oh, what the vehicle is worth before this. This is what the banks will say your car is worth.
Exactly.
Before the accident, which is your ACV, your actual cash value.
Yeah.
And then people are like, actual cash value, okay. What's that?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh yeah,
cash,
okay.
What?
Right. Like, I get cash? No.
Yeah.
You don't get cash. This is what it means.
Yeah.
So it's just breaking it down just to know that, yeah, I do know that answer, but how can I break it down for someone that never been in this position or never been in this experience?
Yeah.
Break that down. So
yeah. How funny. So you say that, and one of the things that pops into my head, because I'm a big Office fan
right.
for the TV series.
Oh yeah, that's a good show.
Yeah. There's this episode called The Surplus.
Ooh,
and
I never seen that episode.
Okay. Yeah. So you should check out, especially the cold open, because here's the setup. One of the accountants, Oscar, realizes that their budget in spending for the year, they have a little bit of extra money. So that's why they call it the surplus.
Right.
He goes to Michael to try to explain it. And Michael's like, I don't know what that means. And eventually Michael goes, explain it to me like I'm 5.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. You sometimes you have to do that. And it's not that people are, I don't ever say people are not educated, because you are educated. It's just some things you just don't understand unless it's very simplified.
Yeah.
And I'm that way too. Like, during our training of finance, I would want everything broken down to like the simplest form. Like, what's something you can say that makes me catch it right away?
True.
And it's not because I don't understand it. It's just, if I have to explain that to someone that needs it to be very simplified, how can I word it that way?
Exactly.
Because you can word you can make a simple conversation sound so elegant, and people can be like, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
But you can have the most simplest conversation that can reach every platform, whether it's someone that's 4 years old, 5 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, and someone that's 80.
Yeah.
You can have one simple conversation that can reach all those people, but you can also have that same conversation that an 80-year-old can get, but a 5-year-old like, what?
Yeah.
What are you saying to me? So my thing was to learn every way from a 5-year-old to an 80-year-old or older. So
Exactly.
93 years like Gates. So, yeah.
What would you say is the easiest part of your job? And maybe it's just the people part of taking care of people.
It is, because that came natural to me. The people part being, I'm a people person at work.
Yeah. You've got such an infectious personality, and like I said, you go places and you just light up a room with positive energy.
Right. And,
everywhere you go.
And that was the easy part for me, just being to talk to a person and just like, we don't even have to talk about the cars. We don't have to talk about purchases. It's just to get to know each other, to just be a people person, to show you that I'm human.
Yeah.
And that's the natural part of it for me. So once I get you into finance, the first thing we do is have a conversation. And that was just the natural part of me, just to smile, be courteous, talk, just have conversations, and just know that I am human. This suit doesn't make me who I am.
Yeah.
My heart and my mind makes me who I am.
That's right.
So that's the easy part.
That's very true.
Yeah.
What do you think it is that makes Gates different than other dealers in this area?
So the first thing I tell people is what makes Gates different is everything you could take advantage of. It's a family atmosphere. It's a rich establishment. They build off being a reputable people where you can come, you can talk, you can see them walking down, or you can see them at the desk or talking to a customer. So many people walk up to me, oh, I remember talking to Joe Dad, and Joe coming up here with a diaper on and blah, blah, blah. And you just like, you've been around for a while, but also your whole entire family choose Gates as their one-stop shop.
Yeah.
Gates is just a place where you could just come and just chill. Like, you got TVs, a big screen TV, where you can just grab the remote and turn it yourself.
Yeah.
Just watch whatever you want. The basketball, football. Like at 4:30, they're gonna have the Titans football game come on today, so they're gonna turn to that and watch that. You can go up to the desk and talk to all of the managers and just have conversations.
True.
Every place that you go to at Gates organization, they make the managers accessible, where you can just walk in and just go straight to a manager and start talking.
Exactly.
Like, hey, this salesperson did this, blah blah blah. In most places that I've been to, dealership wise, the manager's desk are tucked away
and hidden on purpose.
Right. And it's a glass that you have to go in between to talk to. Where here is nothing in between a manager but you, like the salesperson.
Yeah.
So I think that's huge, because now you can see who's working, who's operating everything, who's talking. And Gates is big on making sure the managers talk to the customers. Yeah. Because that's huge. Like, I don't think ever since I sold cars, I don't think not one manager at least congratulate the customer.
Yeah. Or
said thank you. Whenever you finishing up and you signing paperwork and you about to put them into finance, a manager walk past and say, congratulations, thank you for choosing Gates.
Exactly.
Which is huge.
Because they understand it's a relational business.
Right. This business is all about making friends, family.
Yeah.
Because you want them to come up and say, hey, okay, the salesman is not here, but I remember talking to Brian. I remember talking to Scott. I remember talking to Steve. I remember Marcus doing my paperwork in finance. So as soon as I come in, the first person I'm looking at, oh, is Marcus here today? Oh, is this salesperson here today? Is this manager here today? Okay, one of them going to be here. So, hey, this is what's going on, blah, blah, blah. I need to do this for my kid.
Yeah.
And the first thing they'll say, okay, we get that taken care of.
Exactly. And they'll handle it for them.
Right. And it's all about creating a relationship beyond a car. Because at the end of the day, we all human. We all buy cars. We all sell cars outside of work. It's funny because one day I was at Walmart, no work clothes on or nothing. And the customer recognized my face, and we sit there. I'm trying to go quickly into Walmart and get out.
Yeah.
We talked for about 15 minutes just about my personal life.
Yeah.
Just like our personal life. Oh, what's going on with your life? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, Aaliyah's going to kill me because she needs this bad. But whatever. And then come back home. Hey, babe, I was talking to a customer. You was talking to a customer? Yeah. You're not at work? I know. That's the crazy part. Yeah. Customers want to talk to you. And like, it's funny because we go places and if customers see me, they'll just start talking to me.
Exactly. But it's because they recognize you and have such in-depth relationship with you. Isn't that crazy?
Yes. And it's funny because it's funny because every customer is like, tell my wife, and Aaliyah gets so annoyed by it. It's like, you got your really good one. And I'm like, oh God, this is never about to end. And it's usually the wives that say this, and then it's like, oh, you should marry her. And I'm like, oh, here we go. Here we go. But just Gates is big on carrying yourself outside of work. It's the same way you would carry yourself inside of work.
Exactly.
If a customer come up and talk to you, talk to them, have a conversation, just show them that, hey, outside of work, I am human still. So when they come into it, they're like, oh, when last time you been to Myers? So the funny story is one day we was in Myers, and a guy I'd never met, I'm picking out asparagus. He goes, always get the skinny ones. Them are females. Them are much sweeter.
What?
Right. And I'm like, no. He was like, yeah. He was like, the thicker ones are males. They're not as sweet. So I'm like, okay, great. So I'm like, I'm gonna test this theory.
Yeah.
So I get the thicker ones and I get the skinny ones.
Yeah.
So I kind of cook them. I cook them the same way in the same pot. The skinny ones are sweeter. So months later, a guy comes into the company. He was like, oh, can I work with him? He points at me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay. All right, great. So sells him a car. He was like, do you remember me? And I was like, you kind of look familiar. He was like, yeah. Remember you was at Myers and you was looking at asparagus. How did that go? And I'm like, oh, you the guy that told me the difference between the thicker ones and the skinny ones. He was like, yeah, how did that go? And then we just had, like, during the process of selling cars, that's what we would talk about, just the difference between asparagus. And then he was just like telling me difference between fruits, and I'm like,
he knows all the fruit secrets, it sounds like.
Yes. And then he was like, the reason why I know this is because I grow 'em. And I'm like, wow, okay. I was like, well, what all do you grow? So we start talking about that. So now sometimes I go get my fruit from him.
No kidding.
Just
yeah.
He lives right down the road from the dry cleaners. So like like
right up here off Ireland.
Yeah, he knows his stuff about vegetables and fruit because he grows them, and he's like, and he was just explaining all different things, the best time to buy oranges, apples, and things like that. And I'm like,
now you know who to go to.
Right.
But in the same way, he also knows to go to you.
For a car.
Exactly.
But, like, he texts me from time to time, hey, how are you? And I sent him a picture of my daughter. He was like, yeah, oh, man, she's so beautiful. And I'm like, yeah, everybody keeps saying this. Oh, this is going to be trouble once you get older. So,
this is how it starts.
Yeah, it starts. So now I got to think about the car business. Then teenage boys, once you get to think, this is going to be fun. So, yes. Yeah, so it's going to be fun.
Well, what else do you think here at Gates? If you look back at the time that you spent at Gates, what are some of the most fun times that you've had at your job?
The most fun times is, so when you go up to the desk, it's with the manager's desk. It's a desk tucked kind of in, like, not in the corner, but off to the side that you never see. Mm-hmm. And Steve Miller sits there. So, and Steve is off every Wednesday, but sometimes I forget. And sometimes you go up there and you say stuff joke-wise that you shouldn't say, but it's funny and people laugh about it. And then sometimes it'd be Joel up there, Jeff up there, Clint up there. So it's been times that I go up there and say something, I'm like, ooh. And they're just sitting there laughing, and you're like, oh man, this is bad. But they're laughing, so I'm off the hook. And it never fails. Like the other day, I went up there, Clint was off to the side, and I go, what's up, Steve? And look, it was Clint, and I'm like, ooh, no. He was like, Clint gonna say, oh, I see you in my office later. But it's just...
Yeah, he's like, Marcus, stop by.
Right. He's stop by my office. We'll talk about this. But it's just constant jokes no matter what they see you as, like, their own. They're equal no matter how much more they do for the company, how much money they make. They just feel like we're equal partners. We in this business together. We here to
and you're on the same team. Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to treat you no different because we're on the same team. Yeah, sometimes I'm going to be a little more busy and I'm not going to be able to talk as much. But when I am available, I am available. Clint leaves his door open when he's not doing anything, and you could just walk in. There's been plenty of times I just walked in to have a conversation, and Jeff and Joel and Matt all the same way. They leave their doors open if they're not busy. If you need something, if you have questions, if you have concerns, just come in and just talk, and we'll figure something out.
Exactly.
And that's the part of the business that people don't see, and that we get to see. And it's just like, man, how many businesses you can go to where your manager or your boss or the owner's doors are closed.
Yeah.
And the only time you see them is when they're walking in and walking out.
Yeah, true.
So Joe makes it, me being at Toyota, Joe makes it his thing to walk past when he come in to speak to everybody, to talk, stop at the desk to see what's going on. Even if even if he's busy and you say, hey Joe, like coach, like this thing, when Joel and Jeff walk past, he'll call them over just to see if they're going to come. And every single time they'll stop and come and talk to coach, and it could be about nothing. Coach just, hey, how are you doing? Just to do it. Yeah. And they stop every single time just to have a conversation with him.
Yeah. How cool.
Like the appreciation. And coach always tell Joe, I remember I used to change your diapers because coach been here for a very long time.
Oh, true.
And he was like, I remember when you was this little, Joe, you was this little, blah, blah, blah. And it was just like, it's more of like, for them with coach, it's more like, you've been around this company and our family for a very long time. You're family.
That's right.
And whether you've been here for 35 years, 40 years, or 1 year, they treat you like family regardless.
Yeah,
and that's appreciation.
Yeah.
And that's just huge for me. Like, family is a huge thing for me. Coming from a family with a lot of kids, a lot of brothers and sisters, and so family is like very important, and that's what ties me to Gates, to make me stay and never want to leave, because family is huge for them.
Yeah. Well, I think that's so ingrained in the culture at Gates.
Yes.
And especially here at the Toyota store in South Bend. I mean, how would you describe the culture?
Like tonight, the whole staff is going out to dinner.
Yeah. To celebrate.
Right. And Granger did it before Chevy did it. All stores.
Yes.
Preach success, and once we have a success, we're going to celebrate it.
That's right.
And we're going to celebrate it as a team. It's not going to be like, hey, here go a gift card, here go a gift card, here go a gift card, here go a gift card. No, it's okay. We had a successful time. Let's go out to dinner.
That's right.
This is not Toyota first time doing this. Multiple times. I've been to multiple dinners on Gates' dime.
Yeah.
But
shout out to Gates.
Shout out to Gates. And they don't go easy. It's always somewhere very nice.
Yeah.
Always. But it's always like, hey, let's celebrate it, and we're going to do it as a team, and we're going to do it as a group. And then once we're done with this, like after the Christmas party, we go to a different place after the Christmas party as a group, and all stores get together, and we just go out and have fun. And the first thing they preach is, hey, if you do something, if you have too much to drink, because obviously people drink, don't drive home. Order Uber. Don't get yourself in a situation where we have to let you go, because we're about taking care of our people.
Exactly. And they set the standard so high for what the expectations are.
Right.
And they're that clear cut.
And it's just like, okay, great. I know if I'm out and I had too much to drink, I would lose my job if I get a DUI or get into an accident.
Hands down.
But Gates tell you, like, hey, get an Uber. It's okay.
Yeah.
We pay you to make sure you're well protected.
Yeah.
And that's how Gates operates, is just making sure you don't put yourself in harm's way.
Yeah.
Don't put your family in harm's way first. And also don't put Gates in harm's way.
Exactly.
Because everything you do is a reflection of the company you work for and your family. Don't hurt neither. Because if you hurt both, what is you to stand for? What leg are you standing on?
Exactly. And it's just that clear and that apparent that they set the standard that high.
Yes.
Because they know that when you go out into public places, when you go into this community, you are a reflection of where you work.
Yes. Because
100%.
the first thing you want to do is, for me, doing these podcasts, being on TV, if I do something, first thing, that's that guy that works at Gates. He was in that commercial.
Exactly.
Or he was on YouTube video. He was on a podcast. Oh, he was a salesman of the month. Or he does this. Or he's for Glenn and Jesse. Oh, they was the salesman of the year.
Yeah.
So that can be like, that's what Gates stands for.
Exactly.
That's what he portrays as his family.
Yeah.
And that's huge you don't want to mess that up.
Exactly. And that's why they set that standard so high.
Yeah.
And the expectations are right there.
Right there. And they give you that option to either fail or succeed. They want you to succeed.
Yeah.
Nobody wants you to fail, especially here. The first thing they do is say, hey, how can we help you be better?
Yeah.
Whether it's family or work, how can we help?
True.
What can we do? How can we become better? They always open into different thoughts and processes.
Exactly, because they know that they pour into people like you and me so that we can pour into our customers.
Right.
That's just that important.
Yes, and it's just so crazy to think that most people go day to day not knowing who they work for, who's the company, what the company stands for. You see pictures around, but you never seen this person.
Yeah.
But here you see pictures around, like you got pictures of their family behind you, but we met every single one of them.
That's right.
Like, it's been times, 2 years, I wouldn't say 2 years ago, one of Joe's kids was going off to college. Everybody in this company got an invite to her party to go see her off to college. You didn't need to bring her a gift. It was just come, just have fun. Just say hi, congratulations, and you can go about your way if you want. But if you can't come, that's fine.
Yeah.
It was on a Saturday, so most of us couldn't come.
Yeah.
But it was just
cool.
But it was just a thought of getting that text or getting that phone call saying, hey, just come over my house.
Yeah.
Come over to my house.
Come let me host you.
Right. Come to my house. Let me host you for my daughter, just so you can meet the family. And I was just like, okay. All right. I think my wife went for like 5 minutes just to say hi and congratulations.
Exactly.
But to have the opportunity to just say, hey, come to my house, that's crazy.
How cool.
Very cool. So,
yeah, and I think that's really what sets Gates apart from other places is the connection to the owners.
Yes.
They walk through, they say hi, they have a personal relationship with the majority of the employees.
Yes.
And you know that if you ever wanted to go talk to them, then you could.
Yes.
How cool.
That's it. Is sometimes like being at other places, you'll be like, oh, where's the manager? And it's like, oh, they off. And he's like, oh, he works this day, and he's always here.
Yeah.
And they can be like, oh, okay. All right, great. And there's been times people come in and it's like, oh, where's Joe? Oh, he's at the desk. Okay, I'm going to talk to him. Wait, huh? Whatever.
Yeah.
And like, I've been knowing him for this long, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay.
Okay. All right, go talk to him.
and a lot of people a lot of people do know this. Matt used to stay literally 4 minutes from the Toyota store. Like where the dry cleaners is literally 2 minutes away from there.
No kidding.
Matt used to stay in this area. Like they're imprinted in this area. Like all of them lived in this area. Like when they preach that they take care of the community, they're about this community, this is because they lived in this community.
Exactly.
And they wanted to continue to grow. So
exactly. And they want to pour back in the community.
Yes.
And to make it a more positive place.
Yes. They wanted to be a place where people can come and just like, oh, this is Gates. They had this, and this, like rich history.
Yeah.
And they definitely building off that.
Exactly. And also with the expansion that we're about to do with the new Chevrolet store that's coming in South Bend.
Right.
What are your thoughts about that?
So when I tell people about Gates, I always say Gates had a rich history of always having 2 Chevy stores. They went away from that for some time. And then I go to explain that we're about to open another one because we want to get back to that rich history of always having 2 Chevy stores, one in South Bend, one in Mishawaka.
How cool.
Right. So, and people like, oh, they had the one at the Sears building. No, now it's going to be a one up the road.
Yeah.
Like it's crazy. Like,
yeah. And what a great location down here off Ireland Road.
Right. Great location, great spot. Is right off the main street. And what better can you ask for?
Exactly. And before, so, 60, 70 years ago,
right.
downtown, that was a good location.
Yes.
And it is still a good location. But for the majority of Michiana now, the bypass has just become such a rich route.
Yes.
And to be right off of that on Michigan Street and Ireland Road,
yes.
I mean, you're talking about the gateway to South Bend right there.
Yes. And I found out something that's pretty interesting. Did you know that all of the Gates locations are 8 miles from each location?
What?
Yes. So from here to Chevy is 8 miles. From Chevy to Granger is 8 miles. From Granger to Elkhart is 8 miles.
No kidding. Now that you say that, it takes roughly about the same time to drive between all the stores.
Right. Which is like, I think I want to say it's 8 or 9 miles, but it's that distance from each other, and it's planned that way. And I'm
like, how crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, someone taught me that, and I was just looking, and if you go look on the maps of every time they put out the blueprint map, it shows that each one is like 8 to 9 miles away from each other, and I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, and just the fact that they're offering that selection to a variety of areas too. Right. And when they opened up the one in Elkhart, that was such a great move.
Yes.
On the north side.
Yes,
and there's just such an underutilized market out in Goshen too.
Yes. Yeah. Which is like, now you can have access to Gates. And the good part about it is no matter what gate you at, you can pull a car. Let's say if you at Elkhart and you see a car at Toyota, you can go to Elkhart location, talk to a salesman there, and they can pull that car from here all the way over
all
there.
The way to you. Exactly.
Right. And you don't have to travel all the way over here. And to utilize all these locations and then opening another store to have more be more accessible, that's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. And just bringing that Chevrolet to the south side of South Bend is going to be a huge thing.
Yeah, because how many people buy Chevys that drive hours away that can cut that time in half to go to the South Bend location?
Exactly.
And it's not like, the price is going to be different because it's still Gates.
Yeah, that's right.
So you can go to the South Bend location, or you can go to the Mishawaka location.
Yeah.
Now you have two great establishments where it's under one roof.
Exactly. It'll be really cool to see that building because they're going to do demolition. So with their timeline, they're talking about doing demolition in March.
Right.
And having the building fully constructed within a year.
Right.
So by March of 2023,
right.
I know that sounds like
a long
crazy date from now, but really it's next year.
Right. So you got 1 year and a half, and sometimes it could be up sooner than that, depending on how quick everything works.
Yeah, and it is construction, so you're right. It could go faster, it could go slower,
depending on what the weather temperature is like. But typically, doing it in spring, summer, that's prime time to get done things a little bit quicker. So
exactly,
you're not
perfect time.
Right, you're not working so hard in the wintertime, so it should be fine.
Yeah, exactly, and just to kind of see the entire thing go up from the ground floor to the high ceilings, is going to look great.
Right. Every day I'm going to drive by and take a picture.
Yeah, I know. I'll be down there too.
Right. Checking out the process.
I'll meet you, right?
Right. You're going to take pictures and put it on Facebook. This is what we do on day 2.
Yeah. Marcus and I standing side by side taking the same photo, right?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. One here, one here.
Yeah. Yeah. How cool. Well, Marcus, what do you think the future is for Gates? What do you think the future holds for you?
So the future hold for Gates is the same thing. Continue to preach family, friends, atmosphere. Continue to grow as a business, as a company. I think Gates is going to continue to open more places, create more opportunities for people to work in the Michiana area, whether it's car sales, service, body shop, parts department. They always looking for new people, new opportunities to open up for other people. For me, is to continue to grow with the company.
I love that.
Continue to grow, because obviously finance is a huge stepping stone, but also there's other positions in the company that I want to grow too. As long as they grow, I'm gonna grow.
Yeah.
So that's my process. So you just continue to just knock down doors and continue to go through them doors that's open. So
yeah. And if they're locked, you just bang them down, right?
Oh, eventually I'm a big guy, so it's going to go down pretty easily. So, but just continue to just knock down doors and opening up doors and just open up new opportunities for people that comes behind me. So
yeah,
that's the thing.
How cool. So what kind of advice would you have for a sales consultant here at Gates that wants to move into finance? What kind of advice would you give them?
Be patient. Be patient. Just continue to work hard because you will be talked about. Your work is not going under the rug, because I've been here for 4 years and I continue to grow, continue to elevate myself, and that creates a conversation, a buzz around like, hey, this guy deserves to be in this position. I think he'll do well in this position. I think this guy is the one that we can count on.
I think so too. And just the fact of being, well, how would you say that? Being humble about where you're at,
right,
but also being willing to raise your hand and walk up to someone and say, hey, I want to do this one day.
Right.
What does it take to get there?
I would say just being persistent.
Yeah, that's right.
Just continue to carry yourself at a high level. And it's okay to sometimes to stumble, but as long as you stumbling forward, who cares? You continue to go. And don't be afraid to say, hey, I want to be in this position.
Yeah.
I can see myself doing that. Because once you start talking that, hey, I can see myself doing that, then that's when eyes is definitely going to be on you.
That's right. And Marcus, I think this is really important too, so this is why I'm going to bring this up. It might not happen on the first time. And right. I think you have some experience you'd like to share about that.
So for me, I started, let's just call it 5 years I've been here. By year 3, I said, hey, listen, this is where I'm at with myself, with my family situation. We're growing, this company is growing, and I want to see myself growing with the company. I want to see myself in finance. And I was like, okay, great. All right, you're doing very well. You've been doing well for the company for so long. You sold so many cars.
You were number one several months.
Right. So now our eyes is now on you, right? So now they're going to kind of gauge where you at. And I got the interview, did well in the interview, but it was also people that was ahead of me that was also doing well too, that they felt like, hey, this is a perfect time for them to go in.
True. Yeah, other people were waiting too.
Right. So other people was waiting, and other people didn't put themselves on that list before I did.
Yeah.
So at that point, the thought process was, when they didn't promote me, what should I do? Should I quit or should I stay working here? For me, it was like everything works itself out, right?
True.
Everything will work itself out. So just keep you can be sad about you not getting it the first round.
Yeah.
But now you know that every feedback that you got was, he's going to be next. And that's what you hear. Like, hey, just fix this little thing, do this little thing, do this.
Yeah. And
it'll work itself out. After I got told no, I ended up selling 200 cars that year, 200 plus cars that year.
You were like, let them tell me have them tell me say no,
right?
To me.
So like, I sold 200 cars, and then this year, before I got the position, I was on track to hit another 200 plus cars.
Yeah.
So it was just like, okay, I'm not going to just quit. I'm just going to continue to grow. I'm going to be patient. I'm going to wait my turn.
Yeah.
And then once I get my turn, I'm going to show them like why saying yes to me was the best decision that they ever made.
Exactly. And why'd you wait so long?
Right. Like, you could have picked me the first round, but it's okay.
I'm going to prove it to you.
Right. You should have picked me the first round.
Yeah.
And it's funny because sometimes I poke with them, like, me and Mike make a joke. Mike was like, Marcus stopped messing with me after we didn't pick him the first round. I was like, a little bit. now you're going to pick me, so you have no other choice this round. So
yeah,
but which is crazy, but it's just I always preach patience.
Yeah,
and letting everything work itself out.
True, because
if you deserve it, they can't continue to tell you no if you deserve it.
Exactly, and your work speaks for itself.
Right. So at that point, the first thing Aaliyah told, once I didn't get it, I told Aaliyah, was like, I didn't get it. She was like, how you feel? I was like, I don't know how I feel. She was like, "Oh, do you still want to work for this company?" I'm like, "I'm not going to give up because I got told no. I got told no plenty of times in life. So why did I stop?" So I just kept going, and I kept my head down. It's just like, hey, okay, I didn't get it. So what's my next goal? My next goal is to hit 200 cars. Then from there is to continue to sell cars until I can't sell cars until I'm burnt out. Or they promote me, and they promoted me, and I was just like, let's go. Now let's learn something new.
Let's go. I love that.
let's learn. Let's get to the point where you was the same way in car sales, where you was at the top. And once you get to the top of that, what's next? They're going to want to promote you again because how well you have. I don't ever say perfect. How well you did at that position.
Yeah.
Now let's see what you could do at this position. Let's continue to grow because we continue to grow. So that's what I tell people all the time. Just be patient. Just wait your turn. And once you get in their face, just continue to do what you're doing because obviously you're doing good enough to get in their face. Now you're going to do well enough for them to promote you.
Exactly. And that's such a great advice is be patient and everything will work itself out.
Yep.
That's just a really great way to look at it.
Yeah, and that's the way you look at life. Like, no matter,
you're right. It's bigger than just your job. It's your life.
It's your life because it's going to be times like the first thing I told myself when me and Aaliyah found out we was going to be parents. I said, listen, hey, we're not going to do everything perfect. We're going to fail in her eyes at some things.
That's right.
But the thing is, we have to teach her, hey, we're not perfect. This is the first go around, so be patient and everything will work itself out. We'll become better parents. We'll become better mentors. We'll become better anything that you see, that you view us as.
That's right.
You just have to be patient. In life, you have to be patient at everything, even when things doesn't go your way. You're not happy with things. You just have to be patient because at some point, if that doesn't work out, something else will come.
Yeah.
And you just have to roll with the punches. If you fail at something, okay, figure out how you failed and how you can become better. And then once you figure out how that works, then you kind of make it a little bit better and you continue to learn. You don't shut down not learning. So
yeah, exactly. And Marcus, what you just said really resonated with me because I'll be real with you. There were multiple times in my life in the last couple of years where I felt like everything I did was a failure.
Right.
And I felt like at one point that I could not get past that.
Yes.
And I wanted to give up on everything. And there was just this point where I was like, all right, well, am I really going to let this defeat me? Or am I going to get up and keep fighting to do this?
Right.
And it was right around the same time that I found out that I was going to have a daughter.
Right.
And I was like, oh my word, this isn't just about me. This is about me learning how to do this and getting through this so that I can teach my daughter how to do the same thing.
Right. And that's the crazy part is because you're going to fail throughout life.
Exactly. That's inevitable.
Like if you don't fail throughout life, you just have
You're not trying.
You're not trying hard enough. You're doing
Get out of your house.
Right. You're doing the most simplest thing to just never to fail.
That's right.
So I watch I'm big into Will Smith. He's a great motivator. I got a lot of motivator speakers, but when it comes to failure, he's like one of him and Samuel L. Jackson talks about failing. And then Denzel Washington talks about failing a lot more than being successful. The reason being is because the more you fail, that means you're trying.
That's right.
Yeah, it's not always going to be perfect. It's not always going to be easy, but continue to try, continue to be patient, and things will work itself out.
That's right.
And you don't want to fail and then just give up, and then you have to tell your child, oh, it just didn't work out, so I'm trying something different. Something that's completely different.
Yeah.
But you want to tell your child hey, I failed at it and I kept going at it and then I became the best. Look at Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
High school didn't get on the varsity team.
I know. He got cut.
And also I was watching.
Isn't that crazy?
Right. And I was watching his Hall of Fame speech. He thanked his high school basketball coach for picking a guy over him and told him, now you're probably, I want to say thank you for picking him over me because it made me work harder. Now he's not the best basketball player in the world and I am.
Yeah, that's right.
And it was just what if Michael Jordan gave up?
That's right.
What if he would have quit and just was like, I'm done with basketball. I didn't make it high school. I'm done.
Basketball would be completely different than what it is right now.
Right.
You wouldn't have all of these people that were motivated by him.
Right. You wouldn't have a...
And in all seriousness, I would have had a different name, because when I was born, the night I was born, I was supposed to be named Cody. But guess what? Guess who had a really good basketball game that night on the Bulls team? And guess who also got thrown out because he fouled out?
Michael Jordan.
Exactly.
That's crazy. But just, it wouldn't be no Kobe Bryant. It wouldn't be a LeBron James.
That's right.
It wouldn't be a Zion.
The people that come after him.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody would want to be like Magic Johnson or Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, but everybody want to be like Mike.
Yeah.
It's a song I want to be like Mike. So, but just imagine if he would have just gave up on his dreams because somebody told him no.
Exactly. And he passed that on to his kids, just like in in one of the newer Star Wars movies, it would be episode 8.
Okay. You talking about the series, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So that would be the, oh my word, what's the actual name of that one? The Last Jedi, TLJ.
Don't judge me. I haven't watched it yet.
Okay, that's okay. So one of the things that you discover in that episode, in that movie, is Luke goes to this island because he feels like he failed and there's no way to recover from that.
Wow.
And I think I'll let you watch the movie and see what the redemption arc is. Okay.
I actually, so Alea been having us watch this show on HBO Max, which is, you have to, I wouldn't say it's awkward. It's an awkward show. It's called Insecurities, which is
it's a comedy, isn't it?
Yes. It's it's awkward comedy.
Yeah. What is that called? Cringe comedy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Just like The Office, just like, what other one would be like The Office? But it's just trying to make stuff like really cringy and really awkward.
Yeah. It's just like so awkward. You just like, it was a point where I'm like, why are we watching this? This is so stupid. But then something happened. I'm like, oh, okay.
Wow.
Very awkward, but okay. And so we've been watching that. So now I'm trying to get her to watch Falcon and Thor, the series on that, because I'm huge in Marvel. Yeah. So we're trying to watch that. So now we got another series to watch. So
yeah, well, since you're big on Marvel, same way with Endgame.
Yes.
When Tony Stark realizes that they failed in the first part of that in Infinity War, there's nothing to there's all this to overcome, but he gives up for 5 years.
Right. So he could have just gave up on everything because he had his family, he had his life.
Exactly.
What did he need to fight for?
Yeah.
Like, I got everything I need. Who cares about y'all?
Yeah.
But
it was the fact that he overcame that failure at that point and really discovered how to make that work.
Right. He was working. Everybody thought like for the 5 years he wasn't working on nothing, but he was working on how to make it better.
Yeah. How to figure it out.
How to figure it out. And then when he figured it out, he was like, oh God, I figured it out.
Yeah. It's time.
It's time.
Yeah.
It's going to cost him. It's going to, somebody got to sacrifice. Obviously it's going to be me.
Yeah.
But I figured it out.
That's right.
Let's do it.
And he didn't live in that failure, and he learned how to overcome that.
Right. And that's what it's all about, whether it's life or whatever job you're working.
Yeah.
Accept failure. It's going to happen.
It's a part of life.
It's part of life, because once you fail, that's when the work really begins. Yeah. You can stay successful and never fail, but are you really working?
Exactly. And sometimes you can look at failure a different way too. Right. There was Thomas Edison. I believe it was Thomas Edison. So that this might not be right. Thomas Edison, when he was inventing the light bulb, he had to try several hundred ways to do it. And let's say it was 394 failed attempts.
Right.
People would ask him, what do you think about your failure of 394 times to try to make a light bulb? And he said, well, I didn't fail 394 times. I just learned how not to do it. And that's what led me to discovering the right way to do it.
Right. So just imagine if we didn't have light bulbs.
Yeah.
Right? Everybody would have glass houses.
Yeah, that's right.
For sunlight. But you just don't. My thing is, you just don't know when it will work itself out.
Yeah.
You just have to continue to go until it happens.
That's right.
Like, you don't know. You don't, not to talk about intercourse, but you don't know when your wife will get pregnant.
That's right.
You don't know when. It just happens. you can't say it was done on the first try or second try. It just happened when it happens.
Yeah. And that's a very natural part of life.
Right. Success doesn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
It can, but did you really work for it, or did somebody give it to you?
Yeah.
You can always be a millionaire, but are you Amazon? Did you start at the bottom, or was it already successful and somebody gave it to you? I just pride myself on being like a kid from the south side of Chicago that went to school with beat up shoes on, or brother shoes or brother pants, and now that I'm like, after this, I got to go to TJ Maxx to buy my daughter new clothes because she's outgrowing. Like, we got so many. Like, she's 2 months old and she wearing like 3-4 months clothes, and I'm like, yikes, we got that many clothes. So now I got
slow down.
Right. So now it's like, okay, I built myself to this point where you was shy away from going to like nice places because you knew you had on your brother clothes.
Yeah.
But now it's like, all right, I got on nice clothes. My daughter have on nice
clothes. And now you're walking around in a fancy suit.
I don't know if it's fancy, but it's a nice one.
I think it's fancy.
But like, you just continue to grow. Success doesn't happen overnight. You just got to continue to grow and accept failure as failure. But
exactly.
It's not.
And you have to show up every day.
Right.
Like during that time where maybe you thought that you had failed getting into finance,
right? You
had to show up every day to sell over 200 cars.
Right. Your attitude, after you fail, your attitude completely changed. Your thought process could completely change, because now it's like, what's next?
Yeah.
What do I have to do to get a yes? Like the same thing I was doing before I got the no.
Yeah.
You can't do that no more, because now you know, like, this is the reason why you got no. How can you make that better? That's when your job and your work really begin, because now you got to you want that no to be a yes.
Yeah.
And then you want them to pay for that yes. Like, oh, you said yes, great. Now this is the reason why you should have picked me. This is the reason why you said yes. Like,
and your only regret will be that you didn't do it sooner.
Right. Yeah. That's the thing. Like, okay, you said no because I had to work on some things. Now I made that a lot better. And now you saying yes? Oh no, say it a little bit louder.
Yeah.
Say it for everyone. You know what? Take a picture of me saying you said yes.
Yeah.
Post it on our Facebook.
Write me a letter to my wife.
Right. First thing you do is say, "Hey, Marcus got the job. Congratulations."
Yeah.
Right. Now you're a wife of a finance manager.
How funny.
Right. So it's just when the no, that's when your job really begins.
Man, Marcus, I just love that. The fact that you can sit and look at this and reflect on what's gotten you to where you're at today, and how you've been able to pour hard work into your job every single day.
Yeah, failure is my best friend.
That's right.
Seriously, like, failure should be your best friend, because when you fail, that's when your Thomas Edison, your light bulb goes off at how to be successful.
That's right.
Because now you know, like, hey, I failed at this. How can I become better at it? Like, what can I do to change things around? What can I do to be looked at differently to the point where everybody want to tell me yes? Everybody want to say, hey, I want that guy.
Exactly.
I want
to the point where everybody wants you.
Right. Like, you can have a couple of yes, but still fail. But when everybody say yes, you're just like, okay, now what can I get you to say yes next?
Yeah.
You're looking at what's next. How can I be better at this? And get to a point where the next stage of life, you like, yes. Yes. Now you're starting to figure out why you needed to fail, because now you're learning how to get yeses.
Exactly. And now you're a completely different person.
Yes.
You're a better person.
Oh yeah. I would say, my wife would tell you, like, a year ago, if we did this interview a year ago, I would not wear a suit. I would not wear a suit. I would wear some jeans, some gym shoes, and a t-shirt and be cool about it. Yeah. But now it's like, okay, it's a different position. It's a different thought. It's a different mindset. You need to carry yourself a little bit different.
Different presentation.
You're talking about something that's completely different. So you have to carry yourself a little bit different. You have to talk a little bit different. You have to educate yourself about a little bit more different.
Exactly.
things.
And know your craft so well.
Right. And like, I got to the point where selling cars was I was great at it, right?
Yeah.
So now I'm starting a whole new position that I'm not so great at, that I'm trying to learn.
Yeah.
And have I had some failures at finance? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, it was just times that I'm like, man, why did I accept this position?
Yeah.
I didn't know it was going to be this hard.
Yeah.
But it's just like, okay, what did you do wrong? Okay, now it's let's go back to elementary school again and write notes.
Yeah.
Let's make it so simple that you write notes. You figure out things. You figure out how you can take who you was as a salesman and implement that into being a business manager, but also take it to another level.
Exactly.
So I tell people all the time, going into finance is like going into high school all over again, because you went from 8th grade math to college algebra really quick.
You're right. Overnight. And it's not I can just bypass this. I can do something a little bit different to get past it. No, you have to know your stuff right off the top of the head, because customers will ask you questions that you wasn't expecting. You got to know how to respond to that. That's right.
With the truthful answer. You just can't be like, oh, I'll go around this, blah, blah, blah. I'll throw rice over it, cover it up, and just get past it. No, it's going to be like, okay, you didn't answer my question.
Exactly.
Now you're messing with my financing. You didn't answer my question.
And they take it personal.
Oh, they take it very personal, because now
because they expect you to know.
They just
and if you misstep, even accidentally, they will view that as you being deceptive,
right? Or
which you're not trying to be.
Or you hiding something.
Yeah,
and you can't have that. You got to know how to answer. And if you truthfully don't know it, just say, "Hey, I really don't know this, but I'll find out before you leave."
Yeah, exactly.
And then you give them the answer. So, and that's the learning part of just being able to know everything, even when you don't figure it out. So,
exactly. How cool.
Yes.
But man, Marcus, we talked about a lot of great stuff today.
Yes.
So what I'd like to do is we'll draw this episode to a close, because I want to have you back again on sometime so we can even talk about more stuff.
Let's do it. I'm always down for it.
Yeah. So is there anyone that you want to shout out that helped you get to where you're at today?
So actually, it's a couple of people. One, I want to shout out my wife, Aaliyah, for getting me into this business. Shout out to
Aaliyah.
For getting me into this business, because I was working at Radio Shack and Verizon at the time, and she was like, let's get you into the car business.
No kidding.
Like, literally, she put my information for an interview without me even knowing. So I come home after working 2 jobs, and she was like, hey, you got an interview at a car dealership tomorrow.
How funny.
What are you talking about?
She set you up.
She was like, yeah, you got an interview at this dealership. I think you'll be really good with customer service and car business. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And
she just knew you so well.
Right. She knew me so well. So I did it, and then the rest is history.
How cool.
A person that I was talking to last night, Jeff Howe.
Shout out to Jeff Howe.
Jeff Howe about to have another one.
Yeah.
So I remember when he became the first dad, we was working together, and we were talking about becoming a dad, and he was just talking about how the experience is just crazy. And just Gates for pulling me on board. Shout out to Gates.
Shout out to Gates.
Clint for sure.
Shout out to
because
Clint.
he was the one that would text me every day. Hey, I know you coming to South Bend, when you going to come visit?
Yeah.
We just want to get you on board, blah, blah, blah. When you want to start. Like,
how cool.
The first thing he said is, I sent in my resume, and nobody called me but him. Like, you would think a manager at the store would call you. No, he called me himself. Like, hey,
wow.
This is Clint. I'm the general manager, blah, blah, blah. I got your resume. When will you be in town? I just want to show you what Gates is about, blah, 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 and see if you want to choose us. And then it got to a point was like, hey, when you coming in town? When you coming in town to start working?
Yeah.
Like, we're not even going to do the interview process. You're doing well.
Start.
You're doing well for yourself with Toyota already. You're going to come to the Toyota store and do well here too, but you're going to do a little bit better because we're a little bit bigger and we've been doing this for so long.
Yeah.
So it was just like, when do you want to start? And
how cool.
Shout out to Clint for that.
Shout out to Clint.
So he got me on board. So I appreciate that, guy.
Man, that's so great. Well, Marcus, thank you for coming on today to do this. Thanks for coming in your day off.
No problem.
I appreciate this, and I look forward to doing this with you again sometime if that's
Absolutely. Cool. Shout out to you for doing these and bringing me on board with these.
We're going to cut that part. Is it okay?
No, we're not cutting that part. We got to keep doing. We got to keep that in here.
I don't know. We'll have to talk to the video editor about
that. Oh, man. We will see because we started this. Yikes. This is our fourth one. And man, shout out to you for doing this.
Well, thank you for coming on this series and being a part of this, Marcus, because you were a part of the experimental phase of this.
Yes.
Just kind of seeing, okay, can we do this? What does this look like? What does it feel like? What does it look like? How do we go about this?
Yes.
And now it's become an actual series itself.
Yes.
So thank you so much for being a part of the experimental phase and bringing it to where it is now.
Yeah, and let's keep it going.
That's right.
Continue to grow it. So I'm down for it.
Episode 9 going on 1,000, right?
Right. I'm probably going to be on like half of them, but but I'm with it.
We'll turn it into the Marcus Turner show after a while.
Absolutely. I'm the artist that goes solo. That gets his own show.
You get the spinoff, right?
Right. The Marcus and Jordan podcast spinoff to Gates.
That's right. Well, Marcus, I love you, man. Every room you go in, you just bright up, and it's been such a great time talking with you today.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate you.
Thanks, Marcus, man.
Absolutely.
You're awesome.
Yes, sir. You too.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in for this episode of Car Talk presented by Gates Automotive. Huge thank you to Marcus Turner for coming in on his day off and making this work and just being a huge positive influence here at Gates Automotive. And thank you to our listeners for tuning in. We'll see you next time.